Longuses will attach more distal than brevises, but what's our exception to that rule?
APL.
What's APL?
Abductor.
So abductor pollicis longus attaches more proximal to brevis. So let's get that one out of the way first because that's our more tricky one here. So what direction is abduction again? Flip your hand so that they can, well, like this. Yeah, so that's your abduction motion. So if we want to do an MMT for abductor pollicis longus, where do I need to press? Let's start there. Well, I definitely need to press into adduction, which would be in transverse plane of where we're at right now. So I'm going to be pressing this way. When I do an MMT, where should I be pressing and where should I be stabilizing? Maybe start with stabilizing. Where should I stabilize? So, what bones are moving for abduction? Yeah, that's really going to be the first one. So the abductor pollicis longus attaches to the first metacarpal. So I'm going to press on the first metacarpal, which means I'm going to stabilize just proximal to the CMC joint. So that could be the wrist. You could be on scaphoid, really technically, but yeah, about the wrist joint. And then my line of force. So again, you're having your patient go through the motion and then hold, don't let me move you. My force is on first metacarpal, and she is strong. If I am doing abductor pollicis brevis, what bone does that attach to? Where does my force need to be? What was that? Yeah, proximal phalanges. So I'm just going to move my force to be a little bit more distal. You're still going to go into abduction. Hold, don't let me move you. Very good. So that is your abductor pollicis longus brevis.
I have a quick note. Is this gravity assisted, gravity against gravity, or gravity eliminated position?
Gravity eliminated.
Would it be against? Because
So how can you do against gravity?
This would be that supinated would be against gravity.
Yes, supinated would be against gravity.
Camera, but
A, doing that for the camera, and B,
you're small.
for these tests, being able to do this against gravity doesn't necessarily even mean you're a 3, because the expectation for the strength of these muscles relative to their bones that they're moving, the proportion is off a little bit. So clinically, functionally, really being able to do this does not necessarily mean that muscle's fully a 3. So if you did this test in this position, gravity for these joints doesn't necessarily play as much of a role. It's going to be mostly your force, whereas someone's humerus hanging out up here, gravity is going to have a much bigger role on those bones.
It's one of the rubric questions, so food for thought.
Yes, definitely food for thought there. Okay, so that is abduction. What about, is adductor on the list?
Yes.
Okay, so for adductor, that's going to be exactly the opposite. You're going to start them out in abduction. Can you bring your thumb? And then if we wanted to do this with gravity, what position would she be in? Supination. So if she's adducting, this is... Yeah, pronated would be against gravity. Technically, I did say with gravity, so, we're actually right. And then, so for this one, you're stabilizing in the same spot. You're going to bring your thumb in. If you're already in a fully abducted position, then I can't bring you out into abduction. So go ahead, hold. Don't let me move you. There we go. Good. She was trying to help me out at first. So that would be your abduction and adduction in this plane, stabilizing proximal to the CMC joint, and then you're just changing your force and direction depending on which muscle you're doing Do you want to practice those and then move on to other? Okay.
Yeah.